Are you biting off more than you can chew? Your stomach, your emotional center, beginning of digestion. If we don't take care of that, we don't digest proteins, we don't get the vitamins we need. We feel bloated, congested, indigested, like we can't assimilate what we've chosen to put in our body. Apart from that, the meridian having to do with the stomach relates to the neck muscles, the TMJ muscles, some pec muscles, your biceps. So stomach issues can create all kinds of muscular problems in the body too. So in this video, we're going to talk about some reflexes that you can work with and maybe some nutrient possibilities that we can choose to help the stomach work better. Some emotional corrections so we don't stress so much or feel those butterflies in the stomach so much, so we feel settled and safe. In turn, it's going to help with our posture, immune system, digestion, emotional regulation, nervous system regulation. This is why we do what we do. Stick around. The stomach, the emotional center, where you feel fulfilled or satiated or content or safe or disgusted or like you're craving something or like you're unfulfilled or unsettled or unsafe. You know instinctively something's not right. That's right, your instincts or your subconscious mind and nervous system take over to bring awareness to any danger situation, and you will feel that in your stomach because those similar emotions are related. And plus, when we go into fight or flight, we don't need digestion. The blood flow tends to be shunted from digestive organs into fight or flight muscles so we can use that energy somewhere else. Pretty smart, right? So you're smarter than you think you are. When we address those emotions and become resilient around those stress patterns, we have a strong stomach, don't we? We can digest food easily. If we have proper enzymes and hydrochloric acid in our stomach, then of course we're breaking down our food better, protecting ourselves from pathogens that we might take in from our food, and we'll be stronger because we're assimilating all of our food and assimilating all of our emotions. So how do we do that? How do we do that? We can do that by hacking the nervous system and the subconscious mind, or intentionally trying to train ourselves to get stronger around that subject. And it starts with awareness, of course, and that's why our instincts are built into us to try to bring that awareness when we read it correctly. So when you can read it correctly, do something about it. Most people just don't know that. That's why we like kinesiology, because it helps us read the body. It's sort of like the owner's manual of the body, so to speak. Well, stomach, it relates to those emotions we talked about, contentment or non-contentment, feeling satiated or not, you're fulfilled or not, safe or not, bottom line. And then there's a bunch of flavors of emotions underneath all that too. We also have these muscle connections. Your SCM, the neck flexors here, the neck extensors in the back, levator scapula, your pectoralis clavicular head right here, your biceps brachii, the coracobrachialis muscle, brachioradialis muscle. All these are on the same circuit energetically as the stomach. Some of them innervate the same nerve, definitely the same meridian. Some share similar lymphatic reflexes. Energetically, they all get the same information from the stomach. Of course, there's synergy in the body and they're working with other muscles and other organs are working together too. But how do we strengthen our stomach? We could start here. Easy thing to do. The stomach meridian, which begins right here on the cheekbone. This is actually one of the tapping points that you might have seen, energy tapping or the emotional freedom technique. The stomach starts right there on the cheekbone, relates to sinuses as well because it's right here on our sinuses. We would actually either just tap or rub that point, thinking about the stomach. This will energize that meridian, pushing chi down that river. Another way to do it would be touch and then trace the meridian, which would go here, down and around the face, down to the chest, over the rib, in front of the hip, in front of the thigh, down the shin, and down to the second toe. You can see the diagram right here. We would actually just trace that meridian a few times, and it is bilateral. You can do it on both sides, and that's like pushing chi down the river forcibly with the chi of your hand. So stimulating the points like that, see an acupuncturist and get some work, they might read it differently than just putting one point here and swiping down the meridian. Of course, we do have some strengthening points that we can use from 5-element acupuncture here that will strengthen or tonify the meridian, pulling energy from another meridian, or we can sedate it depending on what the theory is of the day. I'm all about strengthening. It's going to pull energy from where it needs to strengthen itself. So we can swipe the meridian, we can tap the meridian. So that's one way we can strengthen the stomach. Another way to strengthen the stomach is through lymphatic work. When I first started doing muscle testing in kinesiology, I had taken a class and we learned the pushing on the muscles related to the different organs, and then learned to rub the buttons to make the muscle stronger. And we knew we were helping the organ too, but I had no idea until I had that textbook at home for a couple of years before I took another training. And myself and my kids, we would have some tummy ache or something, and we would just rub the buttons for the stomach or the pancreas or the gallbladder, and things would work better. So I knew that these reflexes were helping the digestive organs too. We didn't have to muscle test to even find that. We just rubbed the button for the organ itself and felt the relief. So I knew this was something that we could use for a while. That's why I've been using it, because I've had bloating myself for a very long time. It was kind of runs in my family as well. So here's another way we can strengthen the stomach, just working these lymph reflexes. Well, here's some for the sinuses. First off, helps the stomach at the same time, helps strengthen the neck flexors and extensors here. When they're working good, you've got good lymphatic drainage from your sinuses. So all through here. Another one for the stomach, one of the main ones for the stomach, because it is kind of down under your ribs off to the left, this reflex right here between the 5th and 6th rib. If we find our collarbone here and drop down into the notch next to the sternum here, you're between the 2nd and 3rd rib already, or 1st and 2nd. Second, that's the 2nd rib right there. And we're going to go down another notch, 3 and 4, 4 and 5, 5 and 6. So it's going to be kind of where your boob is, right underneath that to the sternum, and all the way out to almost the armpit. Get between the ribs in there and find all those trigger points and tender areas. If that's tight, relax that, open the ribs up, let the lymph flow. You're helping the musculature of the stomach work better and these other muscles that relate to it. We also have to think about our diaphragm. Since our diaphragm sits right here, and we have a sphincter valve where our esophagus comes down, and our stomach is literally dangling from that right underneath the diaphragm. So if our diaphragm is not working properly, we're most likely shallow breathing. If we're shallow breathing, we're slightly in a fight or flight. At that point, our vagus nerve is contracting this portion of our esophagus and pulling our stomach up to the diaphragm. Or we could be emotionally stressed or structurally stressed, and this is also happening. We're in fight or flight, and the stomach is up against the diaphragm, where uptight. Make sense? So how do we get out of that and relax the stomach down off the diaphragm? Well, we need to honor a few different things here. We need to go with nervous system response, a structural response, and then ideally find out in the first place what happened. Why was I triggered to go into that response? Was it a posture? Was it an emotion? Is it food? Is it some allergy in food? Do I need some hydrochloric acid in my stomach? Do I have a parasite? Am I just triggered emotionally in the unconscious level and don't even know it yet? Well, how do we address it? You can address it. First, we're going to do that basic nervous system reset, that vagus nerve reset. Take your hands and clasp them, put them behind your head, and just eyes lateral to one side until you take that big sigh. Good. It could happen in 5 seconds. It might take a couple minutes for some people. So do that first, calm the nervous system down. Then we're going to take a few fingers and go to the bottom of your sternum, your xiphoid process, and feel the soft tissue right there. go to the left of that on your rib and then go down, and you're right on top of your stomach. Now we want to push in and then down towards your pubic bone. And slow down and in. And you can turn eyes lateral again if you'd like. We want a good relaxing breath and allow the stomach to just come down off the diaphragm. So you're bringing it down a little bit. Okay? To do that, then we would do some reflexes for the actual diaphragm, which is right here on the sternum. That's a lymphatic reflex to help strengthen the sternum. Okay? So we need the stomach to relax off of that and come out of fight or flight. Remember, in fight or flight, we're not producing those digestive juices anyway. That's a threefold trick for you. This also helps with GERD. We've got another video completely about GERD. I experienced that, and a lot of my friends and family do it too. So simple fix for that one too. Get that diaphragm working. And then once it is working, making sure that your abdominal muscles can hold a strong core together so your diaphragm is actually in a good position. And in a relaxed way, you're just deep breathing anyway and pumping all that lymph, keeping the stomach relaxed and all that. Okay, like we were just talking about hydrochloric acid balance. This is a very famous one. My father passed away from pancreatic cancer in 2016, and for years he was on that little purple pill because they said he had that GERD. I've got a completely different philosophy about that one. If we are suppressing the hydrochloric acid for the supposed GERD, we're not telling the nervous system when to close that sphincter valve at the top of the stomach. When there's plenty of acid, it actually knows to protect itself and keeps it shut. If there's no acid, it will just continue that process. Now, the pill does help subside the symptoms, but now we're left with less acid in the stomach to protect us from those pathogens that come in on our food, like H. pylori and different bacteria. So we get all kinds of food poisonings, but with plenty of acid, we're killing them when they come in. We break down our proteins properly, so we're getting all of our B vitamins and all of our amino acids properly in the stomach before it even goes into the intestines. We don't have to recruit so many enzymes from the pancreas to try to break this stuff down for us. So we're honoring our body's digestive system. Not only that, we need to be conscious of our food choices. If we're constantly stimulating the pancreas and the stomach on a consistent basis and never fasting and giving it a break, you're exhausting those resources, especially if you're not taking in the nutrients from the food you're actually eating and breaking it down. Then how can you replenish the cells that you're asking for help from? It's kind of a catch-22. So food choices. I'll let you think about that one, but definitely acid balance is what we need in the stomach for proper digestion. So in conclusion, you're in charge of your mind and your body, and it all starts with digestion when it comes down to the biochemical part of us. Remember, we are structural, chemical, mental, emotional beings running this meat suit, and we're all trying to do better out there. I'll see you in the next video.